Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Well, hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Hey, today we have with us Josh Elledge, who is with UpMyInfluence. Josh, welcome to the program.
Mike, thank you so much.
Hey, so I love your work. I love what you do. I followed you for a little bit here, listened to a few of your episodes, and I love when I hear, if you're like me, you see like an email address or a website, and there's a story behind it. And the same with the company. So up my influence, increase my influence. Obviously, you're helping people, entrepreneurs, business owners, look good in front of the target audience. Give me a little bit about your background and then what led you into this field or this focus in your agency.
Yeah, straight out of high school, I joined the U.S. Navy, and I served as a U.S. Navy journalist, in fact, in the Hawaiian Islands and out in the Aleutian Islands. I wasn't very good at what I did, but it was good experience, and it kind of taught me that I could serve audiences either on radio or in front of a TV camera or something. Again, like I got to say, I was not very good. I was very uncomfortable. Again, I just wouldn't speak very highly of my work. I was, but I was a kid, whatever. Out of there, I went to school and studied family therapy because I wanted to become a love doctor on the radio. But I got distracted with the internet and became an internet developer, and then ultimately worked for corporate America for a little while, ended up starting my own companies in and around internet development. But I had some personality issues where I was afraid of selling. And because I was afraid of selling, I went through a lot of business failure, and to the tune of not one business failure, but 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 businesses I failed. Some I failed, gracefully. Others I failed rather spectacularly. And I went through personal bankruptcy once. I went through a foreclosure. I went through a short sale. But eventually, Mike, on my 7th business venture, we did okay. I mean, I started off and, our first year, this was with Savings Angel, I made about $30,000. Second year, I think was about $80,000. Third year, I think we got close to about $400,000. And then 5th year, 7 figures.
Wow.
I share that, in that, like, I know what it's like to stagnate in business. I know what it's like to fail in business. I know what it's like to be frustrated that there's just no one to help or no one wants what I'm offering, or I'm not getting that validation, or, I don't seem to be attracting a crowd like other people. And I feel bad about that. And, what I learned is exposure is everything. And so the difference with Savings Angel is that I just did everything I could to get out in front of as many people as I could. I focused on using the media, which again, I was very uncomfortable with, and I was not good at it. But I kept doing it and kept doing it and kept coming up with ways that I could help journalists and audiences. And that $6 million in revenue that we created with Savings Angel, Mike, most people, this blows their mind, but we didn't do any advertising. I mean, Maybe we boosted a couple of posts a couple times, but we didn't get anything out of that. I mean, everything we did was just serving audiences. Yeah. And that's how we were able to earn our millions. And about 5-6 years ago,
word of mouth then was a big driver in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you gotta, I think it's really helpful when you create a service that is fairly blue ocean, like what you do is fairly unique in the world. It makes it a lot easier because then people can go, oh, hey, that's pretty clever. I like that. And you find that you evoke that word of mouth much better when you truly do, when you are unique. So, about 5-6 years ago, what I did, and I recommend this for anybody, when as you start getting good at something, like you've got some expertise, start giving away your knowledge, give away what other people, sell on infomercials and stuff. Just teach people, like, you mentioned SBDC, when we talked previously, that's actually how I got started with UpMyInfluence. And I just started working in our local startup community. I started doing a lot of pro bono work with military veteran business owners, women-owned business owners, minority-owned business owners, because I just feel like that's what we should all do. When we can identify, groups that may socially have a little bit of, could benefit from a little bit of everyone kind of chipping in, then we can equalize any playing field. Yeah. And that's what I did. And by virtue of just giving value away for free. And I would teach people how I got 2,000 media appearances, but I didn't mention that. It's over 2,000.
Little thing.
Like I'm 700 TV appearances alone now. So listen, after you do it 700 times, you start to get comfortable with the platform, I should say. So if there's something you're not good at, you can get good at it. Yeah. You just got to keep showing up, and it's like Captain America, right? They could keep hitting me, but whatever the line is, but I just keep getting up. That's the thing. So, but I've been writing a syndicated newspaper column now for 11 years as well. And it's, for Savings Angel, it was all about consumer skills and like teaching people, like I'm the guy that can get you a deal, hookup, or upgrade on anything in life. And so I'm really, really good at that. And so that's how I developed my name. But yeah, I accidentally started this second company, UpMyInfluence, because people started seeing the value that I could teach, and they're like, "Well, can I hire you?" And so I was like,
"I guess."
Yeah, exactly. I was like,
"Okay,
yeah, sure, I suppose." But yeah, and so UpMyInfluence now is going through phenomenal growth because again, we're kind of upending the traditional way of gaining visibility. I mean, we help people go from invisible to being seen and celebrated. And it feels really, really good. Like I love like that inherent, that sense of everybody should have equal access, right? I believe so strongly in that. I'm not saying everybody should have equal results, but everyone should have at least be able to get to the starting line.
Get an at bat.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. Yeah. And so that's it's in my gut. I don't know if it's how I was raised or whatever, but I want other people to have the opportunity to be on stage and to be recognized for the impact that they have in the world. Well, and I know that most people can get good at a skill, or they can get good at building a thing or whatever, and they might even build some success, financially. But being recognized for that and really growing your authority is just not inherent in us. Yep. Like we're not wired to do that.
They think that it's the talking heads on CNN or the elite upper echelons. So what do you do with a client that goes seen and celebrated? Okay, I get being seen because I can buy a Facebook ad campaign, but celebrated, that kind of, it turns the tables because a push campaign is a salesy kind of a push, but a pull is kind of like seen. Okay, good. Celebrated means they want to speak of that appearance. So what do you do with someone that goes, I just don't know that I even am that influential expert, and I don't know that I want to be in front of all these people. What do you do for that person?
So you can see me laughing over here just because I have so much experience with this. So for 13 years, I've led and studied consumer behavior. You need to understand that a revolution has taken place in how consumers behave. And I don't care who you sell to. If you sell to the government, if you sell to business owners or direct to consumers, everybody is a consumer. Yeah. And consumers today have been bombarded with advertising messages. The AMA will estimates that the average consumer will be exposed to up to 10,000 brand messages a day. So as a result, we insulate ourselves from being sold to.
Yep.
We've all been down that road, and we don't like it. Consumers don't want to be sold to today. Consumers enjoy being informed. Consumers enjoy being entertained.
They enjoy buying too, but they don't want to be sold. No. They enjoy buying. It's like Jeffrey Gitomer says, people, like to buy, but they don't like to be sold.
Absolutely. And so what we see in advertising is if it's not purely entertainment or truly enlightening, I'm sorry, but if you're trying to like sell your features and benefits and stuff, like it's really hard. It's so much harder than it was 3 to 5 years ago. And I don't care what advertising platform you feel like you're the king of, by the way, you got to abide by these same rules. Yep. And I have a lot of friends that are in the Facebook ad marketing world and the paid advert, kind of the digital paid ads world. And they will tell you, man, there has been a lot of changes over the past couple of years. It is not nearly as easy to make it there as it used to be. You are not one funnel away. I hate to tell you that. You got to do a lot more work to earn the know, like, and trust of your audience before they'll ever engage. And you need to understand what people are looking for, right? And by the way, I want to make sure I mention this. If there's one book, if you really want to dive into this subject, and I'm talking about understanding how consumer behavior has changed over the past 5 to 10 years, read Marketing Rebellion by Mark Schaefer, who would be a really great guest for your show.
I've had him on, and he's awesome, and I've not heard of his book, so I need to pick that up.
Absolutely. So he's famous for Known, which is another great book, Tao of Twitter, and several others. I'm a real big fan of his work.
So with your media background, I've got a pop quiz for you. And we're going to tie the pop quiz into the consumer behavior and the one thing we need to focus on. What's everyone's favorite radio station?
WIIFM.
Yes, you got it. You got it.
We're geeking out right now.
Right. What's in it for me?
What? And so
too many people turn it around and go, well, what's in it for me as the brand? Yeah. I want the sale, but we need to advertise, broadcast on WIIFM. What's in it for our consumer? Because they want to buy, but they don't want to be sold. So how do we
for me? Yep.
Right. What do you advise your clients with UpMyInfluence on how you get visible, good, how you increase your influence, but doing it from the perspective of not, look at me, I'm once again mentioned in the media, how awesome am I? You little peons aren't as good as me. You should come to me. How do you get that tone right for them?
Generally, people, like, if they have a need, right, then that's obviously who you want to talk with. So in terms of audience selection, ability to pay, desire to pay. Those are the two things you have to look for. Otherwise, you're not getting past square one. So let's assume that they have the ability and the desire to pay because you potentially have a product that can solve their problem. Now, they're going to have a few questions before they are going to respond to any email, engage with any ad, certainly call you or, give you their email address or something like that. That's currency for them.
Right.
I don't give my email address to everybody and anybody because I don't want to be spammed to death. Like, we're sick of being spammed to death. We're sick of these boring text emails that are written by copywriting wizards and no longer work. I was just talking with one of my clients earlier. It's like, he was talking, I was really convincing him, listen, in terms of communication with your audience, you're going to have to step off, these wall of gray emails that you're sending. He goes, but I'm an amazing copywriter. I don't doubt that. Yeah. But you have to understand that worked in the past. Amazing copy is not enough today because you could, listen, Mike, you could hire a $300,000 copywriting, the most brilliant copywriter in the planet. And you could send a series of 5 one-to-many email broadcasts to me. You know how many of those emails I'm going to read completely?
Yeah.
0. Right, because people don't like being broadcast to. They like being communicated with or talked with in private one-on-one conversations. At the end of the day, that's what we want. And so every email I get, I go through and I hyper delete stuff, and I've done really, really good to keep my email inbox clean. But I just go through and I'm like, is it a broadcast? Check. Yep. Yeah, I'm looking for the broadcast. Yep. And I either click through and unsubscribe or I just delete it and I don't read it because I don't have time. Now, I got to tell you that there's audiences, right? Early stage entrepreneurs, they will open emails because they're a little bit more in the land of confusion. They're hungry. They should be doing. And so they're just kind of trying to figure this thing out. So that audience, they will be a little bit more open to that kind of stuff. But if you're trying to aim for, like, if your ALV is thousands of dollars, or, you have a service that's like, $1,000 a month on up. And that means you're generally trying to find business owners or find people like me. Like, I've got money to spend on services. I invest in a lot of very, very talented coaches and advisors and services. Like I building a big team. And so I need those things. But man, it's hard to get me to pay attention to an advertising message. So that doesn't work so well. So I'd recommend, go back, and obviously, Mike, someone's listening to our conversation right now. Go back and listen to Mark Schaefer's interview on your show. And then also, I'm sure we'll talk a lot more about Bob Berg and being a go-giver. And I'll tell you that if you want to work with high net worth or successful business owners, existing, or people that are executives that have discretionary money, you're going to have to take a different approach. And I will tell you that I believe that Bob's got it right. Bob's got it right. And I could tell you firsthand he's got it right, because we've been able to generate $200,000 MRR in our sales pipeline by implementing these processes in order to work with the high level of, I'd say the more advanced stage businesses. We work B2B with UpMyInfluence. And I apologize, Mike, I want to go back because we talked about what is a consumer looking for.
Okay.
Number one, they are going to look for, do I trust this individual, and can they solve my problem, right? Do I trust that this person can solve my problem? That's the question that they're going to ask.
Yeah, do I trust them? And then do I trust that they can solve my problem?
Yeah, right. So everybody, every one of us, by the way, we all feel like we have this uncanny ability to read people, and we can do it hyper quick. And Mike, listen, this is so important to the person who's listening. We live in a swipe left, swipe right world. Yeah. You have about 3 to 8 seconds to earn the next 3 to 8 seconds.
Yep.
And everything you do matters. So like, our community is all about owning our own authority, owning our own influence, because if we're not doing it, who is?
Yeah.
Nobody. It's, as the founder of a company, as the principal, as an executive with the company, you are charged with owning your own authority, because nobody's going to do it for you. Yeah. I'm sorry, but Oprah's not going to call you. Okay. You are not going to get an invite out of the blue to be on the Today Show unless you're the actress that was in the Peloton commercial, right? It's just like, that happening is 1 out of a million. Americans are the worst at this. We love this rags. Well, everybody does. Everybody loves that rags to riches thing. And so we think all we have to do is produce great stuff and we'll get discovered. I'm sorry to throw a bucket of cold water on you, but it's so rare that.
But isn't it true? Don't you agree that you have to prime the pump? So as an entrepreneur business owner, if you want that higher level of recognition and maybe media appearance, maybe you need to prime that pump to get out there in front of it a little bit, so that the mainstream media or the midstream media might see it a little bit more. Not sit back and twiddle your thumbs, but in other words, what can I do to stimulate that on my own to make sure that I'm seen in that exact same light?
Yeah. I think Michael Gerber had it right, when he said, the number one reason that business owners fail is because they just spend all their time working on their thing or providing the service. There's nothing wrong if you want to be a freelancer, you want a lifestyle business, you just want to pay the bills. That's awesome. Yeah. I think it's never been easier for you to build that kind of business. If you want to grow and scale and grow your impact to the extent that you can impact, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people with your message, then I think it's just going to take a little bit something else. And that is that you got to be your number one, you got to be your own Don King, if you remember the boxing promoter.
Yep.
Like you got to put the crazy hair on and you got to go out and you got to do it. You got to be your own inner Oprah. Oprah, magazine, has she ever been on the cover of her own magazine? She's never not been. Am I saying that right? She's always on the cover of her magazine.
She's never not been, and she's always, yes.
Yeah, and she doesn't do it. Listen, we don't do this stuff because we're raging egomaniacs. In fact, it could be very uncomfortable to put yourself out there and to share that level of vulnerability with people. But we do it because people connect with people.
Yeah.
We don't connect with brands unless you're like an Apple or a Disney or something like that. It takes a long time to build up a brand that has that kind of recognition that can carry on with or without the individual players in that.
Yeah.
We love people. And so I'm a big fan of someone's got to be the face. You can build a business from behind your computer screen.
And you might have someone say, yeah, but one day I want to sell the company and I don't want to be the face. Well, guess what? Get there first. Right? So be the face and get the momentum built and then worry about that next step later. You can fix that down the road, but get the momentum. So here's a question for you. What do you do specifically for your clients? Are your clients typically corporate America? Are they entrepreneurs? What do they look like? And then what are you doing for them so that we can kind of really dial in the benefits?
For us, we do a lot of pro bono work for early stage startups and founders. And I really don't reach out to that audience in terms of paid engagement. I see it as a duty to serve that audience because I've been there. And so you'll see the extent of the content that we give away, between the videos on YouTube, the long form videos I do on YouTube about, how to newsjack, how to get in the media, how to build this or that. I just give away what other people charge money for. So that's my service. When they get to growth stage where, they have a few people on the team now, they're starting to build some momentum, that's when you can really start to hit the gas. And so, and there's a few ways that we do this. Number one, I continue to give away value to people in that audience completely pro bono. So generally what we'll do is my podcast, The Thoughtful Entrepreneur, I am looking for founders of companies who have done, like they're doing 6 figures a year on up. I figure once you get to that point, you've probably had some interesting experiences that
Lessons
I would
learned.
like to share with my audience. It's a daily 15-minute podcast, but we give that away. And so, I live the go-giver philosophy. And, once I get to know people, we figure out if there's a way for us to do business together. If not, that's great. I'm happy to serve. If there is, then let's take you and get you from invisible to being seen and celebrated.
Yeah.
And the best way to do that is just to leverage visibility opportunities, media, influencers, work, being a guest on podcasts are also really good. I mean, it's a great platform, not for you to say, oh, look at me and start thumping your chest. It's nothing to do with that. It's, do you have the heart of a teacher? Do you desire to have a positive impact in the world? Well, if you have those two traits, I can take someone like that and I can do some pretty remarkable stuff with my team. It's not me. My team is amazing. But we've learned how to do some things where we could get them, mega media placement. We do this at 1/5 the cost of a normal PR firm. They can't even wrap their brain around how we're able to do what we do, but it's because we've built up so many relationships. We've done so much good stuff and so much goodwill in the world that now we just have really great systems and that kind of an unfair advantage. And so our clients and members definitely benefit from that.
Yeah, that's huge. And I think the big thing to keep in mind is then what? So let's say that you get someone some media placements or connected with an influential person in their industry. Do you then teach them what to do with that?
Well, so let me ask the question this way. If I were holding a magic wand in my hand, this is a red dry erase marker, but we'll pretend it's a magic wand, and I turn it around and I say, listen, Mike, if you think of where you are right now in your industry, if you had 10 times the authority than you currently have, because we all have room for growth, right?
Yep.
I do. I mean, there's things I don't have definitely lots of metrics I don't have. But if I could increase your authority by 10 times, what would you imagine would happen to your business? What do you think would happen to your sales? What would happen to your conversion rate? What would happen to your inbound opportunities? What do you think would happen in terms of speaking opportunities, media other influencers wanting to partner with you. Because I'll tell you, you want to know the secret about like these huge like six-figure launches that sometimes people brag about? You want to know what they're doing? They just have a bunch of influencer friends. And influencers love helping each other. So my job is to get you in that club. And the best way to get in that club is you serve your way in. If you're smaller than they are, you serve your way in, and then you continue to focus on you. Your audience will treat your authority as seriously as you do. And you, by the way, in the sales, from a sales perspective, on a scale from 1 to 10, let's say that you're a 3 right now, and we've all been like everyone started at 0, right? But let's say you're a 3. It's going to be very difficult for you. Like you can sell to 1s, 2s, and 3s. And they'd be like, oh my gosh, yes, I'd love to work with you. Right. But 4s, 5s, 6s, and beyond, those people are really hard to sell to if you won't attract the kind of client that exceeds your branding and authority. It's really difficult. And so you're going to have to do something a little bit different, or you have to keep on working that number up. So I'm not talking about making this a full-time job. I'm saying that as the founder or principal of a company, you need to invest a couple hours a week. And if you don't have that time, then you need to hire somebody to do that. And if you can't afford to hire somebody to do that, then you've got time.
Yeah. Right. So here's a thought. As you were mentioning that, it made me think of, because there's so many like ripple effect of increasing your influence so that your visibility is seen, so that other things can kind of happen in sequence. What have you found, and do you advise your clients that don't be surprised if when you personally start seeing your own influence being increased, you start walking a little taller, you speak a little more confidently, you pitch your services to your prospects, even if they never saw your influence. So your level of confidence grows because you're seeing what's happening for you.
Yeah. See, there's so many subtle poker tells, right?
Yeah.
See, everyone is a master at judging other people, right or wrong. Is it superficial? Totally. All right. But we all do it. All right. Let me give you 2 examples, because I've been on either side of this. Number one, I'll talk about my weight, because I used to be a really heavy dude. Like I used to be about 50 pounds heavier than I am right now. And I felt like a good personality. I didn't feel like I was a different person than I am today, but there were certain things that I was doing that were just in my energy that I can't even tell you what I was doing, but I was just showing up differently. And the world was reflecting back based on how I was showing up. And were they superficially judging me on certain things? Yeah. And it's not fair. It sucks, because we know that that's not, the value of a soul.
But it is what it is.
People are, I believe, are inherently good and beautiful and wonderful, but we judge people on external appearances. Yeah. Well, when I lost that weight, and it was really, really hard for me, and I really sacrificed long-term in order to do that. But I'm telling you, the difference in my world was night and day.
Yeah.
I absolutely saw a huge difference in how people treated me,
that's a perfect
responded
example.
To me, and then I naturally responded to that.
Yeah.
And so it's like you're winding up in a way, or winding in neutral, or winding down, or whatever, based on what the world gives you.
Yeah.
It sucks, but it's kind of the way that's one example. Yeah. The other one might be a little easier to identify with. Have you ever been to a conference where you didn't know a single person, nobody knew you, and you were just a face in a crowd? And how do you carry yourself in that environment? Now, I've also been a featured keynote speaker at some pretty major events. And so it's a completely different experience. Yeah. So, just the fact that you're wearing a badge that says speaker or VIP, like it's amazing how that makes you feel, how you walk differently. And of course, people see that, they smile, and they're responding differently. Like I said, I've experienced both of those. And Mike, it's cool when people are coming up and wanting to take selfies with you and, pick your brain, ask your opinion. And it feels great. And I share that not because again, I need it for me. Well, I want that for everybody. I think everybody should again be able to get a turn at bat so that they can earn that. I just want to make that process easier for them. It's really hard when you're building your business out of desperation to get those things.
Yep. And I feel like some people might go, so your package that you can do for me, it cost how much? Hold up. That's the wrong question. Right? The investment, because there's a dollar figure. You've got, you have to pay something. But what you need to think about is you're going to invest this dollar figure to get this tangible thing. But then all these other things we're talking about. Yeah. The personal development, the mindset, the philosophy, all the different things that will level up your business cannot be quantified until you get the call back in a few months going, Josh, I cannot believe that. And it's like that didn't even relate to the package you did for them, but you're going, told you. Yeah. That's awesome.
Tony Robbins, so I've been to Businessman. I've been to a lot of his events, and I've actually spoke for his Business Mastery audience. And he'll talk about, 90 to 95% of the success of a business comes down to the psychology of the business owner.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
And it's all of these seemingly unimportant micro decisions. So right now I'm working with a kind of a health and wellness, and fitness and eating coach, as it were. And I send him a picture of every single thing I eat. And because of that accountability, those little micro decisions on what I choose to eat or not make all the difference.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
It's like Darren Hardy's book, The Compound Effect.
Yeah, right. It's like, do you brush your teeth or not? Well, if you decide that brushing your teeth is optional and, you just skip it here and there, like you might not, short term, it's probably not going to mean a big deal. Like, but you keep up with that, it's like, look, I appreciate having a good time and, and maybe occasionally having a drink. But, if you turn that into a daily thing, it's going to have an impact on your liver. Yeah. I mean, it really will. And so I wish it weren't the case. I wish we didn't have to brush our teeth. I wish we could eat anything we wanted. I wish that we could just kind of haphazardly, just live our days in response. But that's not how you achieve.
But wake up. We don't live in that world.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, those experiences, those life experiences, that's why, I'm not afraid to make investments in smart people because I know that if they can shorten the learning curve for me, I can keep myself from making bad decisions that could set me 6 to 12 months back and cost me a lot more money.
Well, Josh, for those who are listening to this going, maybe there's a way that he can help up my influence. What's the best way that someone could reach out and learn a little bit more from you?
Yeah, if you are, if you're doing 6 figures or more in business, then I would really love to invite you to be a guest on our podcast, and that's The Thoughtful Entrepreneur. So you're welcome to give that, listen to a couple of those episodes if you want, kind of get the feel for it. But all you have to do is just go to UpMyInfluence.com/guest. And you just go ahead and book a pre-interview call with my team, and they'll just make sure that we know your story. We have all your social accounts because we got over 120,000 followers on social media, and so when we do a podcast, in addition to the podcast, which is fine, we promote you to our big audience too on social. We do video clips and all that sort of thing. So that invitation is open to anyone because I want to learn. I want to share your story with other people. Like I want other people to learn from that experience. I've listened to tens of thousands of hours of podcasts, and it has changed who I am as a person. I mean, in so many ways. But that would be the first thing. Now, if you're not quite at that level, man, come be a part of our community. Let me help you. Let me be of service to you. You don't even have to worry about giving me a dime. Like just plug in, please. Like if nothing else, just go to Up My Influence down at the lower left-hand corner. Click on my YouTube channel. I mean, there's, I think, close to 100, maybe not that many, maybe about 50, 60 hours of content where I break down exactly how I do everything in business. I love being completely transparent, and I don't care if other people, I want people to copy because I know that it works. And so,
you know that most people won't.
Oh yeah, right. Well,
they'll learn it and they'll know the secret sauce, but then it's like, they won't implement. And that's the big thing.
That's their choice. But I know that, like, if I ask, why am I on the earth? I know I'm on the earth because I've failed in business and it sucks. I've stagnated in business. I've been, in tears because I've been so stressed out, throwing up because I don't have the money and I owe the money. And like, it sucks. The way forward is learned knowledge, activity knowledge, modeling knowledge, and teaching knowledge.
Nice.
Learn from other people, do what they do, test what they do so you can learn from doing it, and then become the teacher.
Yeah.
So that you can internalize this and make this a core of who you are as a person. You keep doing that over and over again, success is all but inevitable.
Awesome. Josh, thank you so much for coming on. It's really great getting to know you and learning about all the intricacies of consumer behavior and marketing and upping your influence. So I'll make sure to have the link to your website in my show notes. So thanks again for coming on.
Mike, thanks so much. I appreciate you.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.